It's blue and smells like green paint.
Blue paint?
Blue paint. Anti-jokes.
Anti-jokes?
Yeah, that's what like anti-jokes like shouldn't be funny, but it's funny because it's so stupid type of thing.
My cousin used to say one, he's like, what's brown and sticky?
What?
A stick.
Hey guys, what's up? This is the 419 Time Podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Evan.
In our last episode, you can see right here that this is where I shared my testimony. Go back and get a look. But today, we get to hear from Evan King and his own personal story. And so we're not going to waste any time talking. We're going to just get right into it and dive right into it.
We never waste time talking.
We know. That's just not our thing. Evan, let's just start off today. How you doing, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a good day at work. Excited to jump in, tell my story, and really just dive into who I am and how I've got to this point. So
yeah, let's just start from the beginning, and I'm just gonna let you talk. And when you need a break, that's when I'll fill in the gap.
Sounds good. Evan King, born in Wasion, Ohio, April 18th, 1998, 11:01 p.m.
Nice. The exact time?
Yeah, that only matters because my parents were actually watching the Chicago Bulls play. Michael Jordan scored 45 points that night, so kind of kicks into my love for sports. My uncle,
that's cool.
Yeah, my uncle got me Jordan 13s, actually, the Black Cat Jordan 13s. I wore those home from the hospital.
That's dope. Now I see. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I see
shoe
a little
game.
more. Yeah.
Got my work shoes on today, but
the shoe game.
We'll pull some Jordan ones out.
Yeah.
Bring them on the podcast.
Yeah.
Need to do that. K through 12. Went to Pennsville High School. Born and raised in the Mennonite Church. So, Tendro Mennonite Church. Shout out to my church family back home. I really went there every single Sunday from when I was born, unless we were on vacation. So we would make it back from we used to go to ARCA truck races all the time. Okay. That's a lot of my childhood. We'd go to ARCA truck races, and then we'd get back at midnight, 1, 2 a.m. I don't know how my parents did this, but we'd be at church, pretty much.
That's impressive.
Yeah, there's no exception. We were there. My parents volunteered various things, youth sponsors, treasurer. My dad's done sound. I don't know.
Okay.
His whole life. I don't know. As long as I can remember. So that's kind of, my background a little bit. I had all 4 grandparents alive until I was 21. So family, super important.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So obviously people see my shirt, 3 Nails Clothing, discount, EK 3 Nails, but
that'll be in the description below. Shout out 3 Nails Clothing.
Shout out 3 Nails.
They're not promoting us, but we're going to promote them because they're a good company.
Oh yeah. So I like to be active. My body doesn't really look like it anymore, but
you look good, dude.
Retired athlete. No more intramurals for me.
No more officially retired athlete.
Yeah, officially retired. But sports are still a huge part of my life. I'll dive deeper into that, I think, later on. But really who I am, child of God first, husband second, family member, friend third. And I was asked the question today, is what do you want to be known for? And it's
good question.
I want to be known for being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That's it. Anything else?
Nothing else matters. Yeah,
nothing else. So in my Instagram description, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12, that's my life verse, along with Luke 1:37. So without God, nothing is possible. So for me, really trying to emulate that in my life, I fail every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day, some part of Evan King that is not child of God, hands and feet of Jesus, comes out inevitably. But I'm trying each and every day to get more where you can't tell who Evan King is outside of being the hands and feet of Jesus, because that's all Evan King is. So, if you want to talk to me more about that, that's big. That's taken almost 24 years of my life to get to that point. And I've been raised in the church. So, the importance of my faith is first and foremost. I want people to hear that. But same building all through school. So
That's how small the school was.
yeah, I had 40. I graduated with 40 kids. I think 10 of them went to the technical school, so 4 County Career Center. So I actually had 30 kids there my junior and senior year, and I think 20 of those kids we were all in the same class, K through 12. So like,
that's really cool, actually.
yeah, outside of like 10 kids moving in and out, and the other 10 kids going to the technical school, we had like core 20 kids all the way through. So like making friends, you didn't really have to. Like a new kid came in and they have 20 friends instantly, kind of. And I hope some of my high school classmates are watching this, because I don't really know if I was in the popular crowd or not. So I would love them to comment on this and let me know. I was kind of one of those weird kids that did everything.
Okay.
So like band, choir, basketball, baseball, and golf. That was my high school. Did all of those.
So you're the definition of High School Musical.
Yeah. Call me Troy Bolton.
Troy Bolton, singing, sports. You got everything.
Yeah, like the Walmart Troy Bolton.
Off-brand Troy Bolton.
Off-brand.
I love that.
I don't even know who that would be. Let me know that too. Who's off-brand Troy Bolton?
Who would be considered the off-brand Troy Bolton?
Yeah, we might need to cut this episode out. So that was high school for me. Really all the way through. Like I played soccer in middle school and then switched to golf in high school. I was trying to play golf in college. That opportunity, it was there, but God was really trying to steer me away from that.
Yeah.
Taken away.
Different plan.
Yeah, different plan, and it worked out better. I mean, I'll never know, but I would hope to think that it worked out better that way, just following what the Lord was putting on my heart.
And just talk about middle school and high school and how those years had an impact on you.
Yeah, so I'm seeing some of my notes here on the screen, and the gym class hero. That's kind of if you think of a definition of like somebody that goes too hard in gym. There was literally one person in my class that was like, Evan, this isn't the Olympics. Calm down. And it's like, that was me. Like I'm so competitive, ultra competitive. Well, one day in gym class, it was middle school. Can remember it. It was in the old Pedestal gym. Mr. Horning, hope you're watching, comes down there and really had a big impact on me.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever been able to tell him this, but we were playing hockey, and me and a couple of the other guys, we're getting pretty heated out there.
Going at it.
A little gym class hockey.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, and said something that offended one of the kids in my class, and then my gym teacher like confronted a couple of us about it. He's like, "Did you guys say this?" And we're like, "No, like we didn't mean it like that." And then we went into the locker room, and that kid was like still mad and like confronted us about it in the locker room, and fists didn't fly, nothing happened, but like people were yelling in there, and he comes in and he's, of course it's us two that started something because we said something in gym class, and so he just sat us down and was like, "Guys, what are you doing? Like, what's important to you in your life? Why are you being mean?" And that had a huge impact on me. It was like, you don't need to lie. Lying's a sin. I know that. I went to church. I got taught that. Why did I lie so much? I couldn't lie at home because my mom knew every single time I did, so I got in more trouble.
Moms have secret powers.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It's fact.
Like, all the moms have secret powers, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Parents are superheroes. Moms especially, like, it's crazy. So that kind of changed me. It's not something that is like I talk about all the time, but looking back and like actually dissecting what things have changed me, that's one thing, and really kind of shaped me, I think, to being a better man. Kind of moving past middle school, like I broke my wrist twice. I broke my hand. Me and my brother Owen were riding electric scooters, and I hit a rock and fell off. I never blamed my brother, besides like the 5 seconds after where I was pissed off. But after, my knees actually hurt so bad because of the road rash.
Mm.
I didn't even know my wrist was broken. So the next day, my hand is like so puffy. My mom was like, okay, you need to go to the hospital. We need to get an x-ray. So now if you look here, and I don't know, maybe we can put a picture in there. My scar, you see what it is?
Yeah.
It's a cross. So,
oh, wow.
So, like, without a doubt, God was in it. It's not a coincidence that I have a cross on my hand.
That's cool.
It's a reminder for me, like, God's in everything. You know, however much. Breaking my wrist was honestly the hardest thing I had faced up to that point. And so, it was like, why would you take baseball away from me? I'm going into high school. Like, I need to have the reps. I need to get better. If I'm ever going to play in high school, I need to practice, get better. How can I do that when I'm hurt? Everybody, I feel like that's an athlete, has that injury story. It's like, takes me back to whatever. And, you know, for me, that kind of just put some priorities in line. Started to, at least. Freshman year of high school, did not care about school one bit. I got a C in Spanish. That was the first C I ever got in my life. Not the last.
The only C.
It was one of the only. It might be the only C I got in high school though.
Okay.
But that kind of like put me on a path too. My Spanish teacher is one of those people that kind of kicked me in the butt too. I told him I wasn't going to do Spanish that next semester, so I got a C first semester. I was like, hey, I'm not going to do this. It's not something I have a desire to do. He's like, well, you got to figure yourself out because you have a lot of talent, but if you're not going to use it for anything, like, what are you doing? He's like, I can see that you're smart, but you got to work hard. I was like, who are you talking to?
I'm Evan King.
I started on the golf team. There was only enough people to play. So I was playing basketball, like doing all right freshman year. And, you know, it was at that time that I was like, I'm not doing Spanish. It's stupid. It's hard. Why would I do that? And this man's like, you got talent. You got smarts. He's like, you better do something with it. I was like, all right, man, whatever. So get to senior year. So I didn't take Spanish. My locker senior year is right outside this teacher's door. Last week of school, he comes up to me and he's like, I just want you to know like how proud I am of you for, you know, fighting through adversity and figuring yourself out. You've become a really nice young man. I was like,
wow.
Talk about impact that teachers have. Like, thank
Shout
you.
out to all the teachers.
Yeah, like you make such a difference in people's lives. And that's for me, like, you know, gym teacher, Spanish teacher, you know, had a huge impact on me specifically. So, Mr. Reed, Mr. Horning, if you guys are watching, thanks a lot. I should probably send you guys a letter and say thank you too. So, I'll work on that.
And now this video evidence he has to do it too.
Right? Yeah. It's
Accountability
documented,
right
baby. Another big influence is my youth pastor. He is great. His name is Ryan Nafsinger. He was super involved, but he brought a different energy that was just like, I'm excited, but we're going to learn about Jesus. And I'm here to have fun, but if we're doing something that doesn't align with what God would do, we're not going to do it. We're not going to talk about it. So that was huge. Had a couple great role models when I was going through youth group too that were older. So they're kind of like, they weren't my mentor officially.
Okay.
Had a mentor in high school. We'll talk about that in the mentorship episode more. But Kevin Ashelman, he's a big influence. And that's the thing is, as I get older, I realize how much people, like having good people in my life, made the influence. Like, I had such good role models everywhere around me. All my coaches were great role models. That's what it boils down to. I am who I am today because of the people that have been in my life. My freshman year of high school is when I had my first girlfriend. Relationships were kind of romanticized for me, and like I would say fantasized too. So like in my brain, probably until I graduated high school, being honest, I thought the only ideal relationship was to be high school sweethearts, get married after high school, have a couple kids, live in the same town that I grew up in, and that is how you have a happy relationship. My friends, close friends, know I wrote a book in 6th grade. Like, we had to write a book. It's called Walk in the Park. And the character is me and another girl. And it's like a love fantasy.
In 6th grade?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like you start dating, you get married, whatever. And I forget what all it was. One of the dates was a walk in the park. What the heck, dude? You're a 6th grader.
12-year-old Evan.
Yeah, and I'm like fantasizing about, and I would say more like romanticizing about what an ideal, perfect relationship looks like at that age. Like, marriage and finding a good wife has always been a focus for me, as long as I can remember. Like, my parents will tell a story. We were on a walk, and I was probably a kindergartner or 1st grader. On a walk around Pettisville, big town. Wasn't a very long walk. There was a girl from my class, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's so and so," and they're like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Keep walking,
keep walking."
And it's just like, it's always been like romanticized to have a relationship in my family.
Was your parents high school sweethearts?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine was too. So I thought the exact same thing, where like you have to meet your wife in the school you go. So I completely get that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think like a lot of people can probably relate to whatever your parent's story is, or whoever you respect. That's like, it might not be your parent, but like whatever relationship you idolize idolize. For me, I think romanticize. That's what you want. And I had a great example of Christian parents that, they'll say that they failed all the time, but for me as a kid, like, I didn't see any failure. I had everything I could have ever wanted. We went to church. I had great friends. They didn't really tell me no when I wanted to do things. When I asked for things, and they would
a little different.
Go ask your grandma. But
grandmas are the best.
Grandmas are the best. That's what grandmas are for.
Exactly.
You raise your kids so you can spoil your grandkids.
That's right.
But that's, for me, that's why. And so my first relationship in high school, I was bound determined to make that my last. I was like, whether you know it or not, you said yes to dating me, so you signed up for life. And that's so unrealistic. And I was not in a healthy place, like, to do that. A lot of people know this, but I dated that girl. I'm going to save names for their sake. But first girl I dated, we started dating, started becoming real close friends. Wasn't allowed to date until I was 16. Good job.
Mr. and Mrs. King, just don't listen to this part.
Yeah, good job, parents. I'm not letting me date. I wasn't ready. So from like middle of freshman year till I turned 16, we were just like close friends, and we didn't label it as boyfriend, girlfriend, which was good. We were just friends. We hung out maybe once a week, once every other week outside of school. Going to the same school, you see each other enough, so it was fine. We'd maybe do homework together, maybe watch TV. We both love baseball, so we'd watch a lot of baseball together. She's a Tigers fan, so I don't know about those games, but it's tough for you to watching all those losses.
During that time, though, in my head,
they were
Miggy and Prince Fielder. That's a lot of success then.
Cardinals had just beat them in the World Series.
It's still a good day for you.
Yeah. So that relationship was honestly like super healthy. It was good. The weird thing about it is, like, we started dating when I turned 16. Could drive. We could go on dates, whatever. We never kissed. So as far as like, I see my parents are pretty physical, I think. Just like, they would kiss in front of us, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I know what you meant.
Yeah, no, they didn't hurt each other ever, or whatever. No. Sorry, maybe we need to cut this out. I'm going to pause in case we do. So, my first relationship, we did not kiss at all, which was fine. Like, for us, we had a understanding there that was a boundary that was between us. And for a while it frustrated me and I didn't really understand, but then it was like you didn't really think about it. So it was good. Honestly, it was a good, healthy boundary. We were just really good friends and we cared a lot for each other. And yeah, it was great. She broke up with me. This is story one. She came back from a mission trip and broke up with me. Okay. We literally went for like a 5 hour, it felt like. It was probably like an hour walk. And, talked about her mission trip, talked about how God was working. And then she's like, I'm really feeling like we were supposed to break up. And I was like, what you mean? We're going into senior year, and then we're going to go to college, and then we're going to get married, and we're start a family. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, like, I'm feeling like we're not supposed to be together. And so, me, heartbroken. Okay, what's the next thing that a young man does? Chase a rebound. And what does he do it for? Everything that he didn't have in his last relationship. So, for me, it was literally like 3 months after we had broken up. And there was a girl in my class that her and my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend at that time, I guess, were friends. And so I was like, nothing wrong there. Like, go on over to the friend and not be in the friend zone, if you know what I'm saying. So, we're hanging out for a couple weeks, and then, like, it just got physical fast. It was like every single thing that I didn't have in my last relationship, which was healthy. It was a great relationship. Probably my second best relationship I've had. First best being with my wife, of course.
Mackenzie.
Which is true. Like, not just saying that. Like, my relationship with my wife would have been worth waiting for and not dating anybody else. And I'll get into that. But second relationship, got super physical. Like, clothes were off and we didn't have sex, but super physical, and it was everything romanticized and fantasized from movies, from whatever, into that relationship that I didn't have, that I thought I was supposed to. Obviously that didn't work. There came a point where she actually went on vacation for a college visit, and she got, like, while she was gone, we had that separation, and I was like, holy cow, what am I doing to this girl? It is not fair. We had a good relationship. It's not like we just were making out all the time, and I cared about her, but then I like reevaluated and I was like, I really am not over this other girl. I need to break up with her. It's not fair to her. And being 18, 17, whatever I was at the time, I probably didn't convey that the best, probably didn't do it the best. But we ended up breaking up. The rest of my senior year then, it's like second semester senior year, vowed that I was not going to date anybody. It was like going off to college. Why did you do that? Trying to figure out stuff. Caused like the biggest drama in the world, who I was going to choose to go to prom with. And so I ended up just taking one of my best friends from high school, and it was great. Had a good time. Started dating then a girl that went to my youth group. She's actually 2 years younger. She's in my brother's class. We dated for 2 years, so into college. We had a good relationship, but we started dating, officially called it dating, the day before I left for college. It's like we talked all that summer, officially started dating the day I went to college. It's kind of like, okay, we're either going to stop talking to each other, or I don't want to lose a friend, so let's start dating. Looking back now, like, we had a great relationship when we weren't together. We had great conversation over the phone. I respected her boundaries that she put up. Like, I never cheated on her while I was at school, or I never cheated on her at all, but like, it wasn't an issue being 2 hours away from each other because I didn't let it be. But when we were together, that's when the physical side of things came into play. And it's like, you go from no physicality for like 2-3 weeks, and then completely physical while you're together to make up for lost time. That part of it was not healthy. Our relationship was good. Our values were a little different. Kind of saw past it. Like, she was a Christian and loved God, but some of our values were different, and probably should have saw that it wasn't gonna work out long term. We kept dating. longer than probably both of us would have, but she had her senior prom and she didn't want to go without a date. I didn't want to ruin her senior year.
Yeah.
And so neither one of us had the balls to break up with each other until after that. And then we broke up. And we can both look back and say that that's the truth. But major props to my girlfriend at that time. My grandpa got sick and, had a stroke and traumatic brain injury then. He fell off a ladder. And so he was in and out of the hospital, nursing home, whatever medical facility there is, he was in and out of it. Felt like when I was going through college. So, I was going home, but when I was going home, I was wanting to be excited to see my girlfriend. And then not wanting to think about my grandpa when I was with her. So that led to probably more physicality than, I didn't have sex before marriage, but definitely was more physical than ever intended to be. And, that's just, that happened. That's part of my life. That's part of my past. And I have to live with that. Again, with the avoidance and the add to your plate so that you're not thinking about him being sick and not doing well. I was a basketball coach for Muncie, Delta Middle School, actually. And 6th grade girls basketball coach. Man,
what a time.
I'm glad I was a co-coach because there is no way I would have got through that. They were great girls. Great girls. The parents were awesome except for the championship game. A couple of them got mad, but it's whatever. Those girls are doing good right now. Coach Andy Lumen down at Delta High School. 3 of my players were in the starting lineup as, I think they're sophomores now.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
Hopefully I had some kind of
because of Coach King over here.
Yeah. No, Delta High School got some athletes over there. The side note, the weird thing about that, so Delta, one of our, not really rivals at Pettisville, but another local school, and then they were the Delta Eagles. So we had in our conference North Central Eagles and Fayette Eagles. So did not like Eagles, did not like Delta, go to a school, Delta Eagles. But Pettisville Blackbirds, baby, all the way. Brian, whatever Bear.
The Golden Bears.
Yeah, get that out of here. Okay, back on track with my story. Coached, I very rarely went home because I was always, we had games, practices, whatever. When I'm at school, it's easier to not think about what's going on back at home. Great home life, but my grandpa was sick. I didn't want to deal with it. What's the easiest way? Avoidance. And so, so I just filled my time up. That way I had less time to think about it. And then during my freshman year, I felt a call from God to be an RA. Felt like that was a place that he wanted me to be. Didn't know why. I know why now. Spencer Green was my RD over in Chem Hall. There was 4 sophomores that got picked to be RAs, and it was an upperclassman dorm. I was like, this is intimidating. But I ended up having guys pretty much all my own age, and so that was really cool. I made mistakes for sure. Kind of felt like I was a policeman instead of a friend, so not a great way to be an RA, but it got better. But really while I was there, the guys on my staff were amazing, and I learned so much from them, just different walks of life into how they got to where they were, hearing their stories, and I was like, wow. Our staff was 8 white dudes and 2 people that were not white. So one guy was African American, one guy was Hispanic. Okay. And I think that changed throughout the year too, where we got to there was a time where we were just all white. And I was like, what the heck? We're all so different and we're all white. You know what that made me realize? That color does not matter. And not that I was ever racist before. Growing up in Northwest Ohio, it was predominantly white.
Yeah, it's very white. It's different than...
It's different than a lot of areas. It's farmers. The closest city is 45 minutes away. So we didn't really have a whole lot of diversity where we grew up, which is all that's one of the things that being at Indiana Wesleyan taught me a lot. Marion's a very diverse place, diverse cultures, diverse backgrounds. And so being on that RA staff, we were all white dudes, but our stories were all so different. And I was like, how often do I take for granted? Like, if I want to know your story, I would look at you. We look very similar, and I'd think like, oh, you're the exact same as me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my pre-Evan.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest areas I've grown. Is like now I look at you and I'm like wondering all these questions like,
Mm-hmm.
where are you from? What have you gone through? Like, how are we different? How can you impact my life? And not how can I impact your life? How can
Mm-hmm.
you impact my life? And how can I learn from you? That shift. That's the biggest thing that I've learned, and that's where my heart for people with disabilities comes from too. But call to RA, do that. It was great for a year. Didn't really feel like it was something I wanted to continue just
Mm-hmm.
from like living my life like always looking for somebody to mess up and then like either help them through it or catch them. I didn't want to be that savior type figure,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I allowed myself to get into just by my own thing. So I transitioned, didn't want to be an RA anymore, transitioned to the IW athletics, and it was great. My experience with IW athletics was transformational. Um, Kyle Schmidt and Stephen Gidley are some of the guys that have poured into me the most, helping me become a better man, become a better sports information director, all that stuff. I'd never had an employer pray for me before, hold me to a higher standard of how I treated people. Like, yeah, the work they cared about putting out like a standard of excellence in IW athletics. Miller is also like, she's awesome. And then all the coaches too. Like, I have a special relationship with a few of them. Just ran into Coach Clark the other day on the sidewalk, and he's like, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And it's like, it's great just to run into those genuinely good people. My time with IW athletics was going to continue into college or after college as a grad assistant, and I started it. It was great. Like, I love the people, love the environment. It just became a place like I was ready to be done at IWU, and working a lot of hours, trying to do my grad school, getting ready to be married. I was putting a lot of that stress on myself, and it didn't allow me to enjoy the work anymore. And so it was time to step away. No hard feelings towards anybody at Indiana Wesleyan. I had a great time there, great experience. The Marion community is something, it's different and it's special, man. The people here are awesome. Can't say enough about every single person that I run into in this community is genuine and honest, and they got a heart for the community. Community,
cool.
yeah, it's people first, community first here. If you're not about it, you better get out, because it'll be hard for you to be here if you're not about the people that are here. IWU students, whatever college campus you're on, I'd encourage you to get out into the community, whatever way you can. Transitioned from Indiana Wesleyan into health markets, which has been great. It was a perfect timing. So like, I would work 4 to 6 hours a day as a health insurance agent, and then go watch my fiance at the time, or no, girlfriend at fiance at that time. Yeah. Go play softball. Timing just gets lost, man. Once you're married, it's like, I don't know. I'd go watch her play softball. If I needed to do any more work when I got home, I'd do it. So like, it worked so well. Working from home, doing that. Now I have my office, and that's been awesome. We're actually in the basement of my office.
Yeah, we are. Couldn't tell how good quality this is.
Not very dungeonish, so that's good. But yeah, working here in my office has been great. Being in the community, like I said again, so cool. Meeting Mackenzie didn't happen by chance either. After the girlfriend I came into college dating with, she actually was on a vacation. And no, I was on vacation, and she broke up with me while I was on vacation. There goes that again. And then the next girl I dated, she was from my hometown as well. And I was on vacation again and got broken up with. So that made 4 out of 4. I was on vacation or they were on vacation leading into a breakup or actually being on vacation. That sucks. Don't do that to anybody. Like, either break up with them before your vacation or not during, dang it. Like, that was the worst.
I'm only laughing because I know this story. I just laugh every single time. You can hear the stern voice in him, which is like, it's so true, but it's like, he's good now. He's married and happy. But it's just so, like, it's bad, but like, from an outside perspective, as his best friend, it's hilarious. It's awesome.
4 out of 4.
That's just unlucky.
It's unlucky, man.
I've never heard that in my life.
The rest of that summer, so I worked 3 summers for the Toledo Mud Hens. 1 was after my senior year of high school. And then 2 was my sophomore and junior years of college in the summer. And so we broke up, and then it was probably like May or June. And the rest of that summer, like, working for the Mud Hens, I worked 60 hours the weeks that they were home and like 12 hours the weeks that they were away. So I had a lot of time those weeks to like work on myself, whatever. So I got into a really good habit of reading the Bible every day and journaling. And that's really the first time, I said, growing up in a Christian household, being like around that good influence, the first time that I read my Bible daily for any time longer than like a week was during the summer between my junior and senior year of college. Well, the rest of that summer going into school was doing really well with my relationship with God, just praying, spending that time with Him, listening to a lot more Christian music, and my relationship with God just kind of blossomed then. I was baptized when I was 12, I think, December 4th, 2011, however old that put me as, maybe 13. But that's when I was baptized and gave my life to Christ. But the real like renewal of my faith was in between my junior and senior year of college. Going into senior year, my friends, roommates that year will call it the single Ev phase. Single Ev was a totally different animal. My relationship with God was better and like the best, and it continues to get better. But like that was the best that it had been, was coming into my senior year. Well, single Ev was still there, like wanting that relationship. You know, if you remember, I'm 4 years behind. Like I'm supposed to be, you know, high school sweetheart. Now I might even not get a college sweetheart. Like, what am I doing? My roommates kind of calmed me down. I had not a mistake, whatever you want to call it. Like, we were at a dance and I ended up grinding with a girl. Well, turns out it was in front of my ex-girlfriend. It was outside dance, could not see anybody. It was pitch black. So that upset her, had to deal with that, feelings of regret, like why did I even do that? My roommates were like, dude, this is so unlike you, like what are you doing? So it was like, okay, realign myself with God. Like I said, Evan King becoming more the hands and feet of Jesus. It's all Evan King wants to be known as. Nothing else matters. Why am I doing what I'm doing? So it was like those next 2 months, like August, September, was really just like awakening me more from what the summer had already springboarded. Being back with those positive influences. My coworkers at the Toledo Mud Hens were awesome, but they're definitely not godly. And so didn't really have that positive influence. The 5 people I was spending my most time with were not pointing me into the things that I wanted to be a part of.
Makes a difference.
Yeah. And so like being back at school, I was with those people. I was, you know, mentoring you. You were mentoring me too. Like, honestly. My roommate, like Jeremy, Wes Garrett, Drew, Slink, Isaiah, CJ, like they're awesome.
Yeah.
My freshman roommate, Zach Biddle, like we started hanging out more. It's crazy. We hung out more when we weren't roommates, and we still do, which is awesome. Love that guy. Best random roommate that could have ever been paired with me. Like, it's great.
Great name, by the way, too.
Yeah. Biased a little. Anyways, so being surrounded with those guys, they were really pointing me to Christ and what that looks like. And It so happened it was at the athletic convocation. I saw Mackenzie actually across the circle, and we just like made eye. I had known her. We were in class together junior year. I had a girlfriend. She had a boyfriend. We didn't ever flirt with each other. We were just friends. We were in a group, and like she was super nice. Didn't really know anything about her except that she was pitcher on the softball team.
Pitcher.
Star, yeah. She won't say that, but she absolutely
She was a
star.
stud. Yeah, stud.
And so like we saw each other there, and my roommate Jeremy, her roommate Sydney had this little thing from the Montana trip. So I sent Kenzie a Snapchat and was just like, "Hey, can you help me out with something?" She's like, "What's that?" I was like, "Well, my roommate Jeremy and your roommate Sydney," I said, "I think they should be set up." She's like, "Oh, okay, I like that." And so we ended up setting them up on a bowling date that was supposed to be 4 people. It ended up being 14 people. The most random group ever. Her roommates almost didn't come. Like, it was Kenzie's room and my room.
Mm-hmm.
And if my room was dating somebody else, they came along too. This was all to just set up Jeremy and Sydney. So, yeah. Well, no, it was.
Yeah,
I had no.
Yeah, at that time you had no interest.
I had no interest romantically. Like, she's a great person, friendship, yeah. But we go bowling. I kept like trying to time it to go up there at the same time as Kenzie, because as the night went on, like she was laughing, having a good time. I was laughing with my friends, and it was separated.
Mm-hmm.
It was so weird. It's like the girls were on one lane and the guys were on another. It's like, what's going on? So we ended up being up there at the same time, and I was like, hey, Jeremy and Sydney are like really hitting it off. I think we should keep this going. Like we should go get ice cream or something. And she's like, oh yeah, like we should go to Ivanhoe's. For sure. Ivanhoe's a daggum 25-minute drive from Crust Lanes. So she was sitting shotgun in my car. In our conversation from the bowling alley over to Crest Lanes, or from Ivanhoe's, her roommate went on a date with this guy and was like, hey, what do you think about this guy? And I was like, hold on, like, I've got classes with this guy, he's not the best, like, this is my experience with how he treats me. I would hate for a guy to treat you that way, like, you deserve better than that. And
slide that right in there.
Dude, I still had no romantic interest in Kenzie.
Yeah.
Something in that drive, like, started to switch me. I mean, bowling a little bit, but, like, that drive really started to, like, switch me. At Ivanhoe's, me and Isaiah gave the waitress, like, fake names. So, Isaiah's was, like, King. I think he gave him King. And I said my name was Jack. And so she said, the waitress was like, I got a Wildcat for Jack. And me and Isaiah looked at each other like, both go up there. And I was like, no, I'm Jack. He's like, no.
That's awesome.
It was hilarious. The girls were dying. And it was like, just so fun. I could like be myself. I was not one bit concerned about, you know, how I was appearing to other people around me. I was like, that's what I want to be. And it's like, that was the first time that I really felt that alive, I think, was that night. It was just like out with friends, having fun, did not care, was not trying to impress anybody, just be myself. And, you know, with sports and other things, like idolizing them, work, whatever, you try to impress people all the time.
Yeah. And
finally, like, getting over that and, you know, aligning myself with what God wants, so I did not have to just live my life to impress people. Playing country music, I got my Rip Seeds camo hat in there. It was in my car. It was my grandpa's, and so my grandpa passed away, and so it's special to me to keep that, and it's always been in my car since he was like sick, kind of. I just kept it in my car. It's a good reminder. He's in a gospel quartet, so his gospel quartet CD stays in my radio. Anytime I'm missing him, that's cool. Turn it on, and such a blessing to still be able to hear his voice and hear him praising Jesus, because I know that's what he gets to do every single day up in heaven. And you know, the one song is like, "Oh, what a day of rejoicing it'll be." when we get to heaven, he's there,
Mhm.
and I get to hear him singing about that. It's so cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So that CD's in my car. But we're on the drive back to Marion from Ivanhoe's, and I had a toothpick in. I had my camo hat on, and I was just like, I'm a terrible singer. If you guys know me, not good. I was in choir, but man, they didn't have me a microphone or anything. So we were just having a good time on the way back, and then like a couple days later, I was like, man, that was a lot of fun. I should like ask Kenzie how Jeremy and Sydney are doing. Apparently, Jeremy was supposed to invite me over to watch a movie with them because Kenzie had the eyes for me. That's right. You heard that.
Yeah, she saw you first.
You heard that.
Yeah.
And so then like my parents came. That was like on a Sunday or something. My parents came that next Saturday. I had the busiest day for athletics. My parents wanted to hear me announce and see me work and watch an IU football game. We had soccer, volleyball, and football. You know how it is.
Yeah,
those days.
The Saturdays are busy.
They grind.
Especially in fall.
The Friday night before that, I had stayed up till like 4 a.m. texting Kenzie about different things we planned that night because she's like, oh yeah, Jeremy was supposed to invite you to this movie night, and I was like, oh well, what movies do you like? We talked about movies and like nothing for like 3 hours texting. It was ridiculous looking back now. But then she's like, well, you're invited tonight, movie night. They watched Cars 1, they had to watch the next one.
Go Kenzie. Shout out Kenzie.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
She made the first move. So she's like, yeah, the invite's there. I was like, all right, we'll come over. So all day, my parents are there, whatever. Mackenzie and Sydney sat 3 rows behind my parents, and my aunt, uncle, and cousins were there too. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
And so then my mom, at the end of the game, like they're saying goodbye, whatever. They're like, "Hey, do you have any Are there any girls?" I was like, "No, like I don't have time." It was after that full day. I was like, "You think I have time? You just saw what I do on the weekends."
Yeah.
And then that night I was going to hang out with Mackenzie. We had a great time at the movie. We hung out then every night that week. So like Sunday to Thursday, every single night we did homework together, and we went on our infamous walks around campus. That Sunday night we walked around campus from like midnight when the library closes. If you know my wife, she lived in there. Library closed, she gets kicked out, and coincidentally I got kicked out too because I was with her.
Let's just say Evan was only in there because of Kenzie.
Yeah, I never. No, I watched. I watched basketball while she did her homework.
Big difference between his major and hers.
Yeah, business baby. So we walked for 2.5 hours around campus. We had our backpacks on. I went up to my room afterwards and took my backpack off. I had indentions into my shoulders from this. And so that week we talk, we hang out, do homework, whatever, really get to know each other. And I was like, holy cow, this is the person that I've been like waiting for. Mm-hmm. But obviously hadn't been waiting. I dated 4 other people. But like, this is who I want to be with. And obviously you don't know everything about somebody in a week, but the conversations we had, the depth that we went to, like all of our ideals and Christianity and the way we wanted to raise a family and what we wanted to do in our lives is like all lining up. And it was the most crazy thing I'd ever experienced. Well, her parents were coming up for a softball game then that Saturday. She's like, well, like you can meet my parents, because I told her I didn't want to date her until I met her parents, and like really for me to see if who she is who she says she is. And so we had Culvers with her parents, got to meet them. We sat at the Culvers for like 3 hours, felt like 20 minutes, but like everything that they kept saying about Kenzie and just the way that they talked to me and treated me, I was like, holy cow, like this is legit. She's exactly who she says she is. And then that night then, after meeting her parents, I called my mom and was like, hey mom, there's this girl I was seeing. She's like, you literally told me a week ago. that there was nobody. I was like, yeah.
Hey, a lot can change in a week.
So we go to, this is still a running joke between Mackenzie and my dad, but we meet them, and Kenzie chose IHOP.
Nice.
So,
Great choice.
yeah, my dad does not like eating breakfast food outside of breakfast time.
Okay.
So he was like, who is this girl? And then, after eating lunch with them, she gave my mom and dad a hug. My dad is like not a hug guy. He's becoming more of one, partly because of my wife. But that, like, for me, that was the start of our relationship, and like it's continued to grow from there. I, called her dad then after meeting my parents, and was like, hey, can I have permission to date your daughter? He's like, did you say what? I was like, like, I can tell how much she values you and your relationship with her. He's like, I don't want to date her if I don't have your permission. And he's like, yeah, of course you do. He's like, you didn't have to do that. But he's like, there'll be a different question later on if you guys keep dating, whatever. And I was like, slow your roll there, Steve. But
now we need to say that story for later, because that is a great story that definitely needs to be told later on.
Yeah, we can tell Evan asking permission to. Yeah, those breaks, I'm surprised they still work because they got slammed. Oh man, but all fun, all good. I love my in-laws. They're awesome.
They're awesome.
Siblings too. Yeah, Zach got to be a part of the wedding and meet them and everything. So that's really, like, I'd say our relationship, like, the rest is history. Bottom line is, like, we're best friends. She's my best friend. Don't want to do life with anybody else. And yeah, I tell her, like, if I wouldn't have had to date those 4 people to get to you, I wouldn't have. Like, if I would have known that you were coming, I would have waited. Mm-hmm. But I had to learn those lessons from those relationships, and that's, for a long time I kind of doubted my testimony because I haven't had a whole lot happen. Until my grandpa got sick, I really hadn't had anything like super significant. People talk about their parents getting divorced, or they don't grow up in a Christian home, or being a suicide survivor. I was like, those things are so much more important than my story. And I would, like, if you've not heard a single thing, hear this, because whatever your story is, whatever you've gone through in your life, it's significant and it matters. That's and Spencer Green and my RA staff, my sophomore year, they really taught me that. We all shared our testimonies, and I opened up with, like, hey guys, like, I haven't had the same significant things happen that you have. And he stopped me and he's like, dude, your life matters, and what God's brought you through and to matters. And that's been a huge life lesson for me, because my life has value and my story has value. And even if it's like, I don't know, I even still would say less significant, or it feels less significant, it's still my story, and it's still, got me where I am today. So I'd encourage you, anybody, you feel your story's not significant, like, I'd love to hear it, because it's not. I got big listening ears. I know I've talked a lot today, but I got big listening ears, and I'd love to hear your story and actually listen to it and find out who you are and why you are who you are. But yeah, that's, if I can, like, sum up my story in one thing, it's the people that I've been, surrounded with is not by accident, and they've really shaped me to who I am. I mentioned a couple through my story that's, like, really pointed me in the right direction. And then, yeah, my wife is my best friend. I'd encourage anybody out there that's like, I need to find my wife in high school, I need to find my wife in college. Like, I understand I still got married young. So it's a little bit weird to talk about it, but, like, I got married 5 years after my parents did, like, 5 years older than what my parents were when they got married. And it's just like, there's time, that right person's out there, and I don't think there's one right person for everybody. There's not one soulmate, but, the right person for you to marry is out there, and God just might not be ready for you to meet them yet. That was my case. I had to get right in my relationship with the Lord before I was ready for my relationship with my wife. And still, I love Jesus first, and I love her second, and that will never change. If those priorities get flipped around, something's wrong. And if my wife falls below number 2, something's wrong too. Yeah. because, yeah, God's my one, my wife is my two, everything else kind of falls in place after that. And for everybody that looks different, and that's fine. I get that, but yeah.
But yeah,
that's me. That's Evan King.
Yeah, Evan, just thanks for sharing. Like you said, every story has a purpose, has a plan. Just very important to share our stories. That's the whole reason why we even started this podcast, just to be able to share our stories. Evan, again, just thanks for sharing, man, and appreciate you and appreciate you done.
Absolutely, brother. I was gonna say, for our people listening, like specifically if you're from the 419, but even not, like if you have a great story, or if your testimony is powerful, which it is, it has power, and you'd like to share that with people, let us know. Like, we have our first couple guests lined up that we're super excited for, but outside of that, we want to share people's stories. We want to use our platform to glorify God, but to also just help people in any way. So really, reach out to us if you need help. We're going to go ahead and throw again the suicide hotline up on the screen. It's not really part of my story, but it is, with me and Zach's friendship, it is so important. And I don't know what I would do without Zach here. So same thing for you guys. If you know somebody that's going through anything, share it with them. It's right here. So use it. And yeah. Next one.
Thanks for watching. This is the 419 Podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Evan.
We'll see you next time.